Hello, welcome
Recording
to
in
today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And welcome to the Thursday night, morning, whatever episode of the show. We're recording this on December 22nd, 6:30 p.m. here on the East Coast, which means we are 3 days away from Christmas, keeping that Christ in Christmas.
Happy Chrysler.
So, inching near the holidays, which means as little as usually is happening in the world of sports, there is even less happening now. I guess we can kick it off with the thing we said we'd keep an eye on in the last episode, which is, will the NFL force these teams that are still experiencing many players on in health and safety protocols and COVID IL to actually play their games? And they did. What a shock to the nation. All the games that they pushed back 2 days where teams were still missing a butt ton of players, like Cleveland being on their third string quarterback. They all still had to play. Nick Mullins, right? Quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, man. Nick Mullins, former 49ers All-Star.
Yeah.
I say that because he was not actually an All-Star.
That sucks if you're a fan of those teams, I guess. But I guess the NFL would tell you, fuck you. Profits are more important to us than your enjoyment of watching your football team be good. So whatever. And I guess this is an ample opportunity to take a look at some standings, because we are inching nearer to the end of the season, and the AFC is very much so up in the air.
The fact that the Steelers still have an opportunity to make the playoffs is both wild and wrong.
It's dirty. It's very, very dirty.
It's not the way that should be. Quite the opposite.
As it stands right now, no team in the AFC has clinched a playoff spot yet. However, the Chiefs are the 1 seed at 10-4. The Patriots are still the 2 seed at 9-5. It still doesn't make any sense. Titans are the 3rd seed at 9-5 as well. Then the Bengals are in the 4th spot, 8-6. Colts in the 5th spot, 8-6. Chargers in the 6th spot, 8-6. Bills in the 7th spot, 8-6. And then the Ravens on the outside looking in, also at 8-6. The Steelers on the outside looking in at 7-6-1. And then we have some 500 teams with the Raiders and Dolphins and Browns and Broncos, all 7-7. And then the eliminated teams are, well, the ones I didn't mention. And fuck me sideways, is that a hell of a lot of very, very close teams.
Sideways?
It's the only way I like it. So let's see. Next week is fucking what? Week 15, week 16? What's next week?
Week
20. 16. Yeah. So let's see. I mean, like the Chiefs are making it. Like it's not worth it. Let's start at the bottom going up. Broncos next week. This upcoming week, Broncos are playing the Raiders. That's going to be a testy matchup. Both those teams at 7-7. Damn, that'll be fun. 425. Check your local stations. It's tough because I wanted to ask you, do you care who wins this game? And I mean, the answer is obviously no, but it might end up mattering for playoff implications. So do you have a team between these two that you'd rather see in the playoffs?
Not even a little. I mean, I guess like at the end of the day, it's like I don't really care which rival goes. I just don't want either of them to go. I mean, I know the Browns are probably not going to be able to do much. Like, I don't think either team is competitive. I don't think either team is going to be able to do much of anything. So I'm not really worried about them going.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe seeing the Raiders go would be more interesting because they've been in the news a lot. and it might be a nice way for Raiders fans to feel okay about their very tumultuous season. But at the same time, I don't give a fuck about either of these goddamn teams. So who cares? Next week, the Chiefs play the Steelers. Now,
Yes.
the Chiefs have to be competitive because they're trying to hold on to the 1 seed. And if they lose and the Patriots win, then I don't know how the tiebreakers shake out, but then they're tied for the 1 seed with only 2 weeks to go. And obviously you want to, hold on to that number 1 seed so that you can have the sole bye week that is remaining in the NFL. However, if the Chiefs were feeling ballsy, what they could alternatively do is throw the game to the Steelers. Why they would do this, you might ask. If they beat the Steelers and one of the Raiders or Broncos wins, whoever wins that game jumps the Steelers in the standings because they'd be 8-7 and the Steelers would be 7-1, which means that there'd be an increased chance, not a guaranteed chance, but an increased chance that they would have to face a divisional opponent in the playoffs. And while that might not be a huge deal because the Chargers are already going to be there, so why not add a third team? The saltiness factor always comes into play with divisional opponents.
Of course.
Now, again, obviously they won't do it because, it's tough to look at a bunch of guys and be like, hey, don't win this one. But it makes you wonder how much more they would be willing to be like, all right, guys, really don't push yourselves out there if they had more than a 1-game advantage on the Patriots. Because I don't know, me, I might do it. If I was Andy Reid, I might be like, all right, guys, we're all going to play a quarter.
You're never going to get a team of 53 guys who all play professional sports and have just been bred into this, competitive atmosphere, this competitive arena.
I do not like the word you just used, bred in. Ugh, that sounded disgusting.
Listen, how else are we going to get these super athletes if we don't breed them?
Oh, I hate the word breed. Ugh. Ugh. Do not like it. I do not like feeling like I'm in an Isaac Asimov book. It's a 0 out of 10 experience for me. Oh, man. All right. So the Browns are playing the Packers. The Browns really have no chance here. So, I think very realistically, we're looking at the end of the Browns season. The Packers, we haven't talked about the NFC yet. I figure we do that next. The Packers already clinched a playoff spot. So it's not like they have to try very hard they don't have to try at all, really. Not only have they clinched a playoff spot already, but no one else in their division is over 500. They're 11-3. The next highest team in the standings is 7-7. So they really have no concern. But the Browns are so beat up and at such a lower talent level than the Packers that, man, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to pull that one off, which would effectively end their season based on who has a playoff spot and who else is in the hunt. So I'm going to guess that's probably it. Alternatively, or on the other side, not on the other side, in addition to that, Dolphins playing the Saints next week. Who the fuck knows what either of these two teams are? It very much so feels like the tale of 2 seasons from both of these rosters, because the Dolphins are coming off of a 5-game win streak, starting the season 2-7 and mounting that all the way up to 7-7 after beating the Texans, Ravens, Jets, Panthers, Giants, and Jets again. And the Saints managed to start off pretty hot, going to 5-2, and then dropping 5 straight games to go down to 5-7, and then won their last 2 against the Jets and Bucks to go also to 7-7. So really just no concept of where these two teams are. But anyway, in terms of playoff implications for the Dolphins, even if they win this, because someone has to also win from the Raiders Broncos game, it's not going to move the needle too much. Yeah, maybe if the Ravens also lose against the Bengals, because if the Steelers lose against the Chiefs, which is likely, Browns lose against the Packers, which is likely, whoever wins between Broncos and Raiders, and the Dolphins win, then the Dolphins get to move up just one fucking spot. Like they would get to move up one spot. Yeah, they'd be so they'd be in a tie with the Raiders or Broncos, them, the Finns, and the Ravens, provided the Ravens lose against the Bengals, which is not a given. So, in case you're wondering, where's Corwin's voice? He dropped out because his Wi-Fi sucks butt at his new apartment, and he's trying to get it sorted out. So it's just me for a bit. All right. So then, looking at the currently in the playoff teams, again, starting at the bottom, the Bills are playing the Patriots, and man, the Patriots continuing to win these games makes no fucking sense. So you got to look at the Bills and say, y'all can do it. But the game is, I believe, in New England, and man, is that so much harder to do. So I guess it seems so improbable in a year where Josh Allen and the Bills are supposed to be better and the Patriots are supposed to be rebuilding, for the Patriots to sweep that series. But that seems like the most likely thing to happen at home in Foxborough after already beating up on the Bills while your quarterback threw a whopping 3 fucking passes. So, because then you'd have to show them your fucking pass attack. I mean, yeah. The Bills need to win this game, because if the Bills lose this game and the Ravens win their game, well, they would swap places. The Bills would fall to 8-7, and the Ravens would climb to 9-6, and the Bills would be out of the fucking playoffs. And, it'd be tough for the Ravens to win against the Bengals. The Ravens are pretty beat up. Not that the Bengals aren't, but the Ravens are especially beat up, and the Bengals are a decent team this year. But still, I mean, when you're not in control of your own destiny and you're literally they're the 7th seed, you're barely in the playoffs, you have to win these games. So,
what I miss?
The rest of the fringe teams. We're now talking about the teams that are in the playoffs. So just got to the Bills. Now looking at the Chargers, who are playing the Texans, and this is a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, I'm not even worried.
It's not worth spending the time.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so that means that we have the last wild card team, the top seeded wild card team, which is the Colts as of right now, going up against the Cardinals.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup. The Cardinals have started off the season really, really hot. They've cooled down a little bit recently, but they're still, they're 10-4. They've dropped their last 2 games, but
before this week, I would not have even questioned it. And you kind of have to just a bit now, just because of how everything unfolded. That being said, I refuse to acknowledge the fact that, or I refuse to accept that they will drop 2 bad losses in a row. So I am pretty confident they'll be able to come back and play very well. I think they're going to be very focused this week, and I think that will be enough to put them over the edge, even though they really shouldn't need that. They are significantly the better team. So
yeah, and it's also, again, it's tough to judge, especially late in the season when you have so many players hitting IL for a myriad of reasons, how interested a team is in playing their players and resting their players. As it stands today, the Cardinals are tied with the Rams at 10-4 in the division. So obviously they are also playing protect. They need to maintain their spot, because dropping 1 position in your standings might not sound like a lot, but it's the difference between having a bye week and not having a bye week. Yeah, it's colossal. Oh my God. Every division leader in the NFC has 10 wins, except for the Packers, who have 11. Everyone else is 10-4. I didn't realize that.
It's amazing how different these two conferences are this year.
I
Like,
was
there's
about to
usually
say,
some difference, but this is like significant.
every year it usually feels like the AFC is full of 12-win teams and 2-win teams, and the NFC is full with 9-win teams and 6-win teams. And this year it is like the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
We've got like 9 teams at 8-6 this year, all vying for a playoff spot in the AFC, and every division. And we have there's one double-digit win team in the AFC, and there's 5 in the NFC. Just a wild juxtaposition as compared to what we're usually used to seeing. So anyway, the Colts, if they drop this game, it's not good. If the Colts end up dropping this game, because they're the highest seed, I think if the Colts lose and the Bills lose and the Ravens win, the Colts are still in the playoffs while the Bills drop down, I believe is how that works. But again, not a position they want to have to be in. They're probably the safest of all these three of these teams to lose, but that's not something you will have to bank on. But let's turn our attention over now to the division leaders. The Bengals are playing the Ravens. I probably would favor the Bengals here, since the Ravens, as of right now, are without Lamar Jackson, and that's a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, Tyler Huntley looked very good. That being said, I still would favor Joe Burrow being able to beat him out head to head.
Yeah. And it's just so hilarious because you look at the Ravens are not in a playoff spot. The Bengals are leading the division. If the Ravens win,
we thought that was
they
going to happen
are on top of their
at the start of
division
this year.
And the Bengals are out of the playoffs. Like that's
AFC North football right there.
I like dead ass. We're talking a difference of 4 fucking spots in the standings from one game. That's so much. It's so
Does
much.
not happen all that often.
No, and this is another reason why the Browns really have no chance, because one of these two teams has to win. Both of whom are at 8-6, with the Browns at 7-7, and against the Packers, they have no shot. And the fact that one of these two teams has to win that game. Oh, they can tie, but what are the odds? Steelers. But one of those teams is likely to win that game, and that just packs it up for you. I mean, the Browns won't have the time left to climb back the 2 extra wins that they'll need to make up ground. It's just they're toast. Bengals, Niners. Sorry, not Bengals. Titans, Niners.
It's just like, I don't know what am I trying to say?
I don't know what the Niners are, and I also don't know what the Titans are. The fact that the Titans are winning their division is almost like, oh, I guess someone has to. They're going to be the shittiest double-digit win team I've ever seen.
Well, yeah. But who's to say?
Me here on my podcast with my friend.
Touche. You got me there.
Yeah, I do. Got you by the Nuggets. Anyway, if the Titans win, they move up to 10-5. There's not really a lot of competition for that top spot if they manage to win this game. If they lose this game and go to 9-6, and the Colts win their game, both sitting at 9-6, I don't know what the tiebreaker is in that situation, but they'd be at risk of losing their division lead, obviously. So large incentive for them to, keep winning football games, as all teams would like to do. But both those teams going up against some pretty interesting NFC West competition. I'm not really sure who needs it more. I'm not does Titans fans feel like they had a sincere World Series Super Bowl window? Like, if you're a Titans fan, you're going, we have to win it this year. It was all a waste. We're wasting Ryan Tannehill. Like, is that a feeling Titans fans have? Or is this all just gravy because you suck? Like,
Yeah.
If I'm a Titans fan, I'm treating this like Mark Sanchez. I'm like, none of it makes sense, but fuck it, let's go.
I I just both of these teams I thought were going to be big time, not favorites, but contenders in their respective divisions. And both have just disappointed so much because of injuries. I mean, I guess that's, one way to put it. I just don't really think either of them are kind of like the state they're in, without Derrick Henry, the Titans are very not scary. And boy, just the 49ers have never really scared me this year just because, like, yes, they have a very good defense, they have a very good run game, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not instilling fear in me at any point whatsoever. And Trey Lance just has not been given the leash yet to do really anything. I just, I, I think it's a battle of two teams that, yes, want this for their own team's sake, but I don't think this is going to have any significant impact.
No. And it feels like both teams between the Colts and the Titans are such a crapshoot for what the expectations would be in the playoffs that having one in versus the other doesn't really mean like it just doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I both of them have really dominant running backs this season, although Derrick Henry's had some injuries. And both of their like. Every time I see their name, I go like, "Oh, right, yeah, they're winning games, right?" Like, it's never like, the Bucs got shut out for the first time. Like, we all heard about it. Tom Brady said, "Fuck you" on the sidelines, no one cares. Or Aaron Rodgers and the Packers is full of wild, wacky, right-wing conspiracy theories, and they keep winning football games. I feel like I've heard more about the 7-7 Vikings than I've heard about the 9-win Titans, and it's because they're such a boring team. And that likewise goes for the Colts outside of that 1-5 touchdown game for their running back, whose name I already forgot.
I don't know if you watched any of their loss to the Steelers,
No.
but boy, it makes me not want to watch the Titans in really any capacity forever.
The Titans, in my mind, are a 6-win team for the entire course of the season. Like, at any point in the season, you could tell me they've won 6 games, and I believe you. Week 6, they won 6 games. Oh, wow, they're off to a great start. Week 10, they won 6 games. Well, 6-4 is a good record. Week 17, they won 6 games. Football's hard. Like, and I'd believe it at any phase. You could tell me they won 6 games.
Strong agree.
I just don't give a fuck about that anyway. So yeah, all right. Who cares? The Patriots are in the 1 seed. It's a 1-game advantage over the Bills. And so it really can't be overstated how important this is for the Bills. Again, I'm not sure of the tiebreakers. I really, really don't give a shit to look right now. So it's not guaranteed the Bills will pass them. But for one thing, the Bills are 1 game away from being outside the playoffs and potentially 1 game away from being on top of the division. And that means it's a game you need to win, especially since you got fucked on home turf last time this game happened.
How do you see it going?
Well, that's what's it's so wildly unpredictable because the Patriots didn't need to use Mac Jones at all. Not that Mac Jones is some great fucking, ace in the hole, but it's like with pitching. You're going to save your curveball until like the second time through the order so that players don't see your curveball. Mm-hmm. And all pitchers do this with their secondary or third pitch. But even if their third pitch sucks ass, it's just that I don't want you to know what all my pitches look like today. So I'm going to save one of them for later. That's Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones is a mediocre slider that you're saving for the 4th inning. because yeah, hey, at least I don't know how to swing it, like.
So do you see Mac Jones coming out and throwing the ball like 50 times?
No, but I would expect, because of the
Because
available
that
film
would be
from,
hilarious.
I would my sincere guess is Mac Jones goes 20 for 25 with 150
Just
yards,
stupid efficient.
1 touchdown, no interceptions. Like a really lame, boring stat line, but just
Okay.
not a lot of yards. He's there exclusively to screen. I am primary reads. I'm first reads and first reads only. We are here to play one song, and that song is slot receiver. Yeah, because I mean, like, if you can be that efficient on the run game, then you don't really need to extend the run game too far out for it to make it different and effective. You know, like shovel passes and laterals can just get turned into slightly forward passes going 1 to 3 yards, and all of a sudden they have completely different looks and formations. So, I mean, for them, it's not like they have to switch from being super conservative on the run, everything being handed off in the backfield, to 40-yard bombs. It's so much of a jump that it would almost probably be counterproductive. Obviously, you don't want to do the exact same thing you just did. So if you just turn those, handoffs into slightly forward passes where you have more of the running backs off to the wings, or you do it with your wide receivers again coming out the slot, or doing crossing routes, then it's very similar play style, while being different enough that you're going to have to force adjustments from the defense and how they position and how they approach the attack. And then they're just going to they can't just stack the box. You know what I'm saying? But you also, again, don't have to do. You don't have to go 10 yards down the field to make your passes effective. That's what I would expect anyway. So, yeah, it's must-win games all around. The only exception really is, I guess, the Chiefs. But even then, they're protecting against having the first seed, which it means something. It means a lot, but it's not nearly as interesting as the other ones, where the whether or not they make the playoffs is not what's on the line here, which is the case for a lot of other teams. So it's a much less interesting case to dissect. So on the NFC side of things, Packers have clinched. They're first in the NFC North altogether. The first in the NFC, first in the NFC North. They're 11-3. Actually, we'll start at the bottom again. That was more interesting. Oh my God, fuck you. The Giants aren't technically eliminated? What? That wouldn't make any fucking sense. The Giants at 4-10 aren't technically eliminated yet? Suck my balls. How? I guess if they won, I don't even want to think about it. It's a dirty thought. Oh my God, that's disgusting. All right. So they're playing the Eagles. Who cares? No, I'm not even talking about a 4-win team. Fuck you. Yeah, Seahawks aren't technically eliminated yet. 5-win team. Fuck you. Panthers 5-9. Fuck you. Falcons at 6-8. Fuck you. Washington 6-8. Fuck you. All right. So we're on to the Saints at 7-7, who we talked about already. If they win this game, they have a chance of leapfrogging over the Vikings, who are sitting at 7-7 and playing the Rams, which is a way harder matchup than Saints Fins. So solid chance that they could. Problem being that the Eagles are also ahead of them in the standings. They're the 8th seed versus the Saints 9 seed, and the Eagles are playing the Giants, who are a very bad team. So Eagles win and Saints win and Vikings lose, which it would be my guess if I was a betting man. Then the Vikings would probably fall to the 9th seed, while the Eagles and Saints got bumped up a spot. But if the Eagles also lose, which would be, I mean, honestly impressive, then the Saints would get a chance to hold a playoff spot. At 8-7, they'd also, the only other team that they could potentially move against is if the Niners were to lose to the Titans, which would also put them at 8-7. Again, that's such a fucking crapshoot based on how that team's been performing. It's tough to really get anything out of there. And I also don't know what the tiebreakers would be, because both teams would be 8-7. But there is, I guess, a world in which the Eagles and Saints just take the spots of the Niners and Vikings heading into the last week, or heading into the penultimate week of the season, which I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what these teams have to. These 4 teams feel like 4 teams that someone has to make the playoffs because someone has to make the playoffs. And it's the least interesting part of an expanded playoff for that reason, because they're lame teams and I don't care. So now, Corey, we're talking about the Rams, who are a wild card team at 10-4, playing the Vikings. They'll win that game. The Vikings are not very good.
I'd be confident. I mean, I don't want to say definitively, of course. It's the NFL. Shit happens all the time. But yeah, I mean, Vikings are kind of dead in the water. And I'm much more confident in the Rams. I mean, Matt Stafford just passed 50,000 career passing yards, fastest to ever do it. That's got to count for something, right?
Yeah, it's got to. Maybe now he can tell his wife to stop being such a jerk. Baby, I got 50,000. Can you please stop being such a dick on Twitter?
Stop bullying people. God.
Stop throwing shit at the fans. God damn it, Nancy, or whatever her fucking name is. Yeah. So
I don't know what it is. I know it's not Nancy.
Nah, maybe it's got Nancy Reagan on the mind. The throat goat. The throatus. That was a great week on Twitter. Anyway, Arizona Cardinals are playing the Colts. That was a great week on Twitter. We talk about this from the Colts perspective. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck? If the Cardinals were to lose, and the Rams win, obviously they would change places, which certainly could happen. The playoff implications for it, I actually don't think would be colossal, only because neither one of those teams would really, likely anyway, end up holding the number 1 seed, which is the only seed that comes with a bye week at this point. So because there's such a lopsided quality to the teams that are in the playoffs this year, I don't think it matters that much. Actually, it really wouldn't matter at all, because one team would be they'd be switching places. They'd both be 4-5, and then after one of them lost and one of them won, the other one would just be 4-5, which means that their playoff matchup would go from being each other to being each other. So it really
home field advantage, though.
Yes, I understand, but when it's the divisional opponent where you're kind of used to their stadium anyway, I'm not saying it's not a deal. I just don't think it's a big deal.
I think it's a pretty big deal.
It's pretty fucking minimal, bitch. Dumb bitch.
Okay. That's how it's going to be today. That's how it's going to be.
The Bucks are playing the Panthers. The Panthers blow hot ass. So that's enough of that. Also, there's no team that's really fucking with the Bucks spot right now. Like the Bucks are sitting at 10-7. New Orleans is the nearest team at 7-7. Like there's not really any implications for this game. If they win and the Packers lose and the Cardinals lose and the Rams lose and the Cowboys lose, then they will get to be the 1 seed. But fuck, that's so many things to have to happen. Who gives a shit? So really, this game just has no implications. So who cares? Which likewise can be said about the Cowboys, 10-4. Again, the second place team in their division is the Eagles at 7-7. There's no implications for this game at all. So who cares? And the Packers are in the 1 spot against the Browns. They have no one below them that matters. No implications to this game. One thing that you did miss, though, while you were on technical issues, is the Giants are not eliminated from the playoffs yet at 4-10. Isn't that disgusting?
I don't want to care. Like, I don't want that to
I skipped
be a
right by
thing,
them.
obviously. Like, why?
I assume it's because of the Vikings. They're 7-7, and which means that there's a 500 team in the playoffs. And if the Giants won out, they'd finish at 7-10. And if the Vikings lost out, they'd also finish at 7-10. And there must be a tiebreaker in there. And obviously there's many teams in between, but you get what I'm saying. If everyone else that's not a Giant lost out and the Giants won out, I'm assuming they would also cover the tiebreaker that would involve them holding that last playoff spot. But fuck, that is a disgusting. A 4-10 team should not be in a conversation for a playoff spot come week 16.
Yeah, it should be one of those things where it's like, all right, if nobody reaches this minimum threshold of wins or win percentage, there should just be a second bye team awarded.
I honestly wouldn't be opposed to this caveat. Like, what? You can't be 500 anymore because there's I guess you could be. Steelers have
if you're under 500 or under if you have
Under
a losing
500,
record.
can't make the playoffs. Yeah. Yeah, I fully support this. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be very interesting. Because it would also give a reason for, I guess division teams always have a reason for fucking with you or for playing you hard. But, like a week 17, you somehow have like the Bills are playing the Finns and the Bills are like, who cares? 13-4, and the Finns are 8-8. Week 17, Finns hold the last wild card spot, but you can't make the playoffs under 500. So the Bills don't need to win the game. They're the 1 seed at 13-4. Finns are at 8-8, and the Bills just cream them because then at 8-9 they can't make the playoffs, even though they would still have the wild card spot. It would be kind of fun. I'd like that. It would add extra drama. It would be extra arbitrary drama, which is the best kind of drama. Arbitrary nonsense drama, hands down, number one drama genre type, the best one. Arbitrary is the best. Yeah. So, anywho, there's a lot of implications heading into week 16. Chances are this will extend itself into week 17 as well, since there's so many close matchups in the AFC. The NFC is getting itself pretty much wrapped up. As you know, we really breeze through it because there's not a lot of implications for the rest of it. Week 17 and week 18 are all we have left. It'll be a lot of change, a lot of flux in the AFC North and AFC South. But the other divisions, not as much. Yeah. That's really the picture. That's really where we're at.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those things where I'm noticing that how I'm saying that again. I'm very curious to see how it plays out, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care how it plays out. If the Steelers make the playoffs, I'll be very sad because there will be no chance of us getting a pick for QB this year. And I know for a fact we have no ability to perform in the playoffs. There's no way we are going to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. And say what you will about always wanting to go to the playoffs, and it's all about, that. I'm not here for that. I'm here for performing, as a team in the long run. It's not just a 1-year league. That's the only thing that would make me upset. Otherwise, fucking pull them out of a hat.
That'd be kind of fun. Imagine they ran the last seed in the playoffs the way that they run like draft lotteries. Like every win you have counts as an additional entry into the lottery. So you miss the playoffs at 8-9, you have 8 entries. If you miss the playoffs at 1-16, you have an entry. So the likelihood you make it, non-existent. But you could make it. And honestly, that would be a fucking blast.
And could you imagine like a 17 missing the playoffs?
Yeah, I could. It'd be beautiful.
Would be exceptional.
Honestly, I'm kind of in favor of this now. The only problem being it would really fuck with draft order. Imagine you like bottomed out and went 1-17. Like, oh yeah, first pick in the draft. Oh shit,
need a quarterback. Yep.
Raffled up into the playoffs. No.
And then you go and win the Super Bowl.
It's like, no, we won the Super Bowl, but we're not built for the future. No.
Or like if Urban Meyer was so bad as a coach, like the Jaguars were actually an excellent team this whole time, they go to the playoffs and just win it with some interim head coach because like they just hated playing for Urban that much.
Well, and then, that's what's funny about football. Like, we just mentioned how the fact that the Dolphins went on a 5-game win streak right now and are sitting at 7-7 after starting the season 2-7. Like, imagine instead of, the middle of the year, they got dropped into the playoffs after dropping 7 of their last 9 and went on a 5-game win streak to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's not like it's that easy, but it'd be fucking hilarious to watch.
That would be about this.
Is there anything else really going on in football right now? It feels pretty quiet outside of all of the COVID.
Me.
Baseball's quiet. I ain't heard shit.
Yeah.
Hockey's quiet.
Nobody's
They're
playing.
not playing. Yeah. That's why it's quiet. Basketball's getting ready for its break.
Texas A&M forfeited the Gator Bowl because of
Too many Gators.
too many Gators. Yeah, too many Gators. No, COVID pulled out.
COVID pulled out, but our dads didn't.
Didn't wrap up.
Nope.
Bastards.
Yeah. Yeah, there really
podcast.
isn't anything going on today in the world. Like, I was thinking about the things to talk about before Corwin and I hopped on to talk about things. And I realized that everything I had to think about, we basically talked about on Sunday because nothing's fucking happened since then. And I guess that's fine. Who gives a shit?
We can't force things to happen.
No, and we're not going to try to. I have gripes. I have minor gripes, but I don't want to sit here and have to force myself to get worked up about a Hall of Fame ballot thing again. Because for one thing,
doing it all
yeah,
the time.
Yeah, we did that like 2 weeks ago, and I'm still annoyed. And like, it's the Hall of, like, it's not serious. It's not all that to get worked up about individual ballots or trends multiple times during a voting season. Like, it's just not. And it sucks because that's like the only thing that's actively happening day to day in spore rats. That's not COVID diagnoses, but yeah, it's not there. So fuck it. Let's just wrap it up.
I'm about it.
All right. Well, if you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you'd like to send emails to the show, you can do so at juicethenumbers@gmail.com. If you'd like to send Corwin any Nasser Twitter DMs, you can do so at Corwin Heller. If you'd like to send me any Nasser Twitter DMs, you can do so at Joshua D. Tracy. And until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.